countries. Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, I am Dr. Rajagopal from All Institute of Ayurveda. On the occasion of 7th Ayurveda Day celebrations, we are organizing this webinar with the help of, or in association with our friends from Germany, our friends from Argentina. We have 6 deliberations today, 2 from All India Institute of Ayurveda side, and the rest are from our friend from Argentina, Dr. John Luis Vera, as well as from Rosenberg Academy of Ayurveda, Germany. To start the program, our director madam, suddenly some emergent reason came, so she is not joining now, she will be joining at the end. And fortunately, we have our senior professor, Professor Emeritus, Professor S.H. Acharya sir with us. He will be blessing us with the inaugural address. And I invite our Dean International Cooperation Cell, Professor Jonas, who is also head of the Department of Kaya Chikitsa, that is Internal Medicine in Ayurveda here, for the welcome address. Dr. Jonas sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rajagopal sir. Good evening to everyone in India and good morning to the other people who are in the Latin America. It's my privilege to welcome you all to this international webinar on Ayurveda Day 2022. And for the past 6 weeks, we had different activities in the celebration of Ayurveda Day 2022, and where it is Ayurveda for holistic health, Ayurveda for many years, Ayurveda Ahara, Ayurveda for senior citizens, Ayurveda for mental well-being, and presently it's Ayurveda sharing of experiences makes this particular international webinar on Ayurveda Day. And it's my privilege to welcome Dr. George Luis Vera from Argentina and Dr. Mark Rosenberg from Germany and Dr. Kalyani Nagaraset from Germany and Vin Sylvester from Germany, who will be making their deliberations on different topics, particularly Rasayana, medicinal plant from Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia from Dr. George and Dr. Mark Rosenberg is also going to make his deliberation, and Ayurveda and psychology is being to be dealt by Dr. Professor Martin, and Ayurveda successful adapted to German and European circumstances is going to be by Kalyani Nagarset, and even Vin Sylvester is going to present Ayurveda as a prevention in occupational health management. These are the different topics which are going to be presented in further course of the presentations. And at this particular outset, I would like to welcome the senior professor, Dr. S.H. Acharya sir, and our dean, particularly for this international webinar series, Dr. Rajagopala, the other faculty members, my fellow colleagues, Dr. Ramakant Yadav, Dr. Prashant, and Ramakant Yadav, and even the other people who are online joined to this particular presentation. I welcome you all for this evening, and further deliberations can be from Dr. Rajagopal.
Thank you very much, sir. We have our faculty members joining online. We have our friends joining from various parts of the world as a whole, because we have shared this link with everyone. And I offer a warm welcome to all to this international webinar part 1 of All India Institute of Ayurveda in association with Rosenberg, European Academy of Ayurveda, and Prema Ayurveda of George Luis Vera. Now, we are blessed with the presence of our Professor Emeritus, Senior Professor Dr. S.H. Acharya, whose introduction is not required. Still, few lines about his career. He was a professor at Gujarat Ayurveda University. He was the director of International Center for Ayurvedic Studies at Gujarat Ayurveda University. A very familiar face to all of you, and a very learned, stalwart scholar in Ayurveda, Charaka Samhita, neurology, and as a whole is a good clinician. We are fortunate to have him for the inaugural address, and I invite Professor Acharya for delivering his inaugural address. Acharya, sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rajgopal. And namaste to everybody who are online. And good morning to all those who are outside India. And good evening to all here present are also online. It is very fortunate that in such a momentum of making a webinar series on Ayurveda in commemoration of a very auspicious day for all of us. And that is the happiness for us that on this occasion that we are all here. I'm so happy. As told our director, she may join later a little bit. And meanwhile, that I think that it will be a good opportunity for me to speak with you people. And we all know that today that we are commemorating an auspicious day which is we call today as Ayurveda Day. That 7 years back our lovable honorable Prime Minister that he told that this day will be celebrated as Ayurveda Day. On the background, it is really very interesting to see that some ages, thousands of years back, there was something like this, a conference, a brainstorming conference that which occurred between different groups of different lineages, different cultures from probably different places. They want to enter into a consensus, a common consensus to make something related to a wisdom of healing to be something like a global medicine. So that was a very strong consensus, though there were even enemy people of the lineages, somebody mediated between them, and they all stick together and made a journey to explore a precise component of this natural healing wisdom, And it is told that there is an iconic entity which is considered as avatar in mythology of Vishnu, that he came out with a precise conclusion of this wisdom of healing that is called as Ayurveda. It happened on the 13th day of Hindu calendar in Sharad Ritu in the Kartik month. So that day of the appearance of this iconic figure who could bring like anchor the conclusion of the healing of wisdom as a brainstorming suggestion throughout different lineages and cultural people who sat together. That day earlier, the people in India used to celebrate as Dhanvantari Jayanti, the auspicious day of the manifestation of Dhanvantari, the icon who actually tabled the conclusion of this brainstorming session, which is the conclusion of the holistic wisdom, that is a natural wisdom called as Ayurveda. So we are fortunate that we had such a really thinking Prime Minister who decided 7 years back, no, this has to be the Ayurveda Day, and we celebrate this as an Ayurveda Day. This is really a beautiful, iconic that event has been written in our Samhitas, that it was a kind of what we call today we are going to do as a webinar, and from the different cultural roots, different lineages, and they made such a common platform to be a global medicine. This is what we are probably thinking, and we are making webinars today, that tomorrow probably some of us will be here to see that Ayurveda is a global medicine. It is because of the effort of all of you people, like I am telling the team from Germany, like Mark Rosenberg, since decades they're working there, and our also good friend Dr. Jorge Vera from Argentina, and from decades I know that he has been making. People like you have been working from all corners of earth. Now, I think it is slowly we are maturing to become Ayurveda as a global medicine one day. Probably we see into that. I am so happy today that I am likely to be here and I am invited here to make a small talk on this. I am sure that all of the speakers, like you, the team from Germany, from Argentina, and all our professors here are going to contribute into this. And ultimately, it is something that contribution getting into one bank on the 13th, ultimately commemorating, we have the 23rd of this month, that is the 13th Hindu calendar day of the Krishna Paksh, which will be celebrated as Ayurveda Day. I welcome you all again for this. I will not talk too much on this because there are a lot of things to be heard here in the presentation. And I'm really thankful and welcome you all. I'm happy to see all you here, your faces. Thank you. Jai Dhanvantari. Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure to hear your blessing words. You have told Ayurveda one day it will become the global medicine. Now the whole world is looking towards one medicine approach, where of course Ayurveda is also considered or it has taken into account as part of it. We hope your blessing words like Ayurveda, the global medicine, is not far away. Thank you very much, sir, for your blessing words. Going ahead, may I request our guest speaker, Dr. George Luis Vera from Argentina, for his talk on Rasayana, medicinal plants from Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, available in Latin American and Argentina. Dr. George Luis Vera, basically he is a modern pediatrician and into Ayurveda since couple of decades, and he has established Ayurveda establishment in Argentina as well as in Latin American countries, an active member of Caption organization also, and having good sound knowledge of Ayurveda, fundamentals of Ayurveda, and they are conducting few programs also on Ayurveda knowledge at his place. He is a frequent visitor to India. He is a MOU partner of Gujarat University, Banaras University, and shortly with the Organization of Ayurveda also. Dr. Vera, you are welcome, and you are welcome for your address. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Rajagopala, for your kind words. May I request your permit to share the screen? I'm not allowed to share the screen. I don't know, the administrator could change that in the webinar, please.
Yes, you are all.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 minute. I don't know if are you seeing my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, hello to everyone. Very happy to see a lot of friends. Very happy to see Dr. Srinivas, Dr. Acharya. We had him in Argentina. All the people are our friends at the All India Institute of Ayurveda. Mark, Dr. Martin, Win, different doctors that we have known during these more than 3 decades working in Ayurveda. When I discovered Ayurveda within brackets, I realized that Ayurveda will be very helpful to increase the possibilities of modern medicine. I always say that modern medicine is not incorrect, it's incomplete, and modern medicine is completed by Ayurveda points of view and resources. For me, the most important thing of Ayurveda is that its principles are universal. That's the main point. Our attitude is that we are a bridge between the knowledge, ancient wisdom of Ayurveda and scientific knowledge of Ayurveda in India and our academic institutions in Argentina and in Latin America. And being bridge, we also wanted to know what the resources of India are available in Argentina and in Latin American countries. And this is one of the results of our research in our continent. The most important things when we, again, discovered Ayurveda, wanted to know what kind of resources, which of these resources are available in our region. And like here, like Wally, there are a lot of green, but we need to know which are the medicinal plants from India that are growing also locally in our region. That's the reason of our resource that we, sorry, but I need to change the, I'm not, okay. Sorry, I'm not used to this meeting. There is the lack of knowledge of the presence of medicinal plants in Latin America, and then we have gone to the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, the most important document of Ayurvedic resources from India. And that's the reason that we have checked the 7 volumes of the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, check in which monographies are medicinal plants mentioned having a Rasayana effect. And then we have investigated these medicinal plants by searching official databases of Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Central America, United States, and other well-respected scientific institutions. And then we know that there are, in the 7 volumes of the API, there are 540 monographs of 519 medicinal plants with Rasayana effects. And in our region, we have discovered that from these 519 medicinal plants, 53 are available in our country. And also that there are other 11 medicinal plants which are part of a Rasayana formula, but lack Rasayana action. Then we haven't considered these medicinal plants. The resources have been, I don't know if you are looking, okay, the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, of course, the catalog of vascular plants of Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, the catalogs of Brazil medicinal plants, other resource from Colombia, other resource from Nicaragua and Caribbean region, the resource from Department of Agriculture from United States, and also Missouri Botanical Garden, and also tropics.org, that are the most respected resources considering medicinal plants, all kinds of plants all over the world. If we are, our results are showing that including the plants that are used as substitutes of Shankapushpi, 20 Rasayana medicinal plants are found in Argentina, 18 in Brazil, Colombia, and Honduras, 17 in Mexico and Guatemala, 16 in Costa Rica, 15 in Venezuela, 13 in Ecuador, and El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Panama, 12 in Peru, 11 in Bolivia, 9 in Chile, Cuba, and Paraguay, 8 in Uruguay, and there are 19 also in the Caribbean region. I want to stress very importantly that when we are mentioned that we have found these plants, it means that these plants are growing locally in our region. These plants has not been introduced from one people that have taken the seeds in her or his bag and then have put into the soil of each country. These are our local plants in our region. Then we have, for example, Carnaspota. I want to show every single of these Rasayana plants that there are in our country. You could see in the slide how many countries are in each of these Rasayana plant, Bringaraya, Eclipta alba, Brahmi, Bacopa monieri, one of the most important media Rasayana drugs in 18 countries, Achiriantes aspera, Apamarga, also very frequently Neem, one of the top medicinal plants of the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, are available in 15 countries. And then we could see that the Mandukparni also, Tila also. I don't want to, I only want to share with you the pictures, but I want to stress other point that's also very important. If we are considering other Rasayana plants, for example, Allium sativum and Martinia annua are growing locally in 9 countries, Agireia nervosa in 8, sesfania in 6, other medicinal plants is 5, and you could see that there are available in all our regions a lot of Rasayana medicinal plants. One special situation is Convolvulus pluricarpus that is not found in Latin American countries, but there are 2 substitutes mentioned in Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, that's Clitoria ternatia and Evolvulus alsinoides, which are described as substitutes, as I mentioned, are available in 18 and 17 countries respectively in our region. That's the first part of my talk. I have mentioned the medicinal plants that are growing locally in our country. Then now I'm going to go to other part of my presentation. I'm sure that all of you know this document. I'm sure also that I know all of you, a lot of you have participated in this, producing this document. These are the lifestyle guidelines of Ayurveda for health promotion. This was the topic of research of the activity of the WHO Collaborative Center of the Institute of Jamnagar Institute, and they have produced, for example, within this document, which are Rasayana suggestions for the people. And you could see that, for example, if we consider Rasayana for Vata, we have 7 medicinal plants that are suggested for Rasayana for Vata, and 6 of them, with the exception of Badrikanda, are available in our region. Some of them are available as grown locally. Other medicinal plants are legally introduced in our country as dry extracts. For example, ashwagandha, Vitania somnifera. Same is with Rasayana for Pitta. Of 5 Rasayana medicinal plants mentioned in this book, with the exception of Shankapushpi, all for others are available. Shatavari, Amalaki, Guduchi, and Yastimadu are available. Yastimadu is growing locally. Shatavari, Amalaki, and Guduchi are imported in our country legally. Time of 8 of the products, 1 product, Triphala, and 7 medicinal plants, all of them Rasayana for Kapha are available in our country. Gugul, Haridra, Bacha, Vidanga, Shunti, Triphala, of course, Haritaki, and also Trifla. And if we are going to the medicinal plants that will be useful for the treatment of specific Dhatu situation, we could see that Daksha, Shatavari, Karshur, and Bringaraja are available for treating Rasa Dhatu, Amalaki and Bringaraja treating Rakta Dhatu, for Mamsa Dhatu, Ashwagandha and Bada, for Meda Dhatu, Gugulu, Haritaki, and Guduchi, for Asti, Skrinkala, and Lashuna are available in all the region, Ashwagandha, Guduchi, and Yastimadu for treating Maya Dhatu, and for Shukra, Kapikacho, Badikaranda, Shatavari, and also Ashwagandha are available. And if we are going to, for specific diseases, for diabetes mellitus, we have Haridra, Amalaki, for Amavata, Rasona, Pipali, and Gugulu. For nervous disorders, we have Bala. For skin disorders, we have Tubaraka, Guduchi, Bringaraja. For urinary tract problems, we have Gokshura and Purnanarva. For gastrointestinal tract, we have Amalaki, Shatabara, Haritaki, and Bidanga. For eye problems, we have Trifala and Shatavari. For heart diseases, we have Salaparnia, Juna, Gugulu. For bronchitis, we have Vasa, Chavanprash, Pipali, and also other. For tuberculosis, we have Vasa, Chavanprash, which is illegally imported, and Pipali. And for obesity, we have Gugul, Haritaki, Lasona, and Bacha also. And going to the end, these are the most important Rasayana drugs which are commonly used in India. And from these 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 Rasayana medicinal plants, with the exception of one of them, which is Boerbia diffusa, sorry, no Boerbia diffusa, Convolvulus pluricaulis, Shankapushpi. The 8 others, Amalakya, Ashwagandha, Brahmi, Guduchika, Pikachu, Madhyasti, Punarnava, and Shatavari, all of them are available in our region and in Argentina. For this reason, that we are going to, as a conclusion, we want to say that 50% of the Rasayana plants of the first 7 volumes of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India are available and present and growing locally in our Latin American region. Other important Rasayana drugs are imported and legally used in Argentina at least. And it's very important that the presence of these plants with the Rasayana action known to Ayurveda will provide a better health care for the local population. And the presence of these medicinal plants that are growing locally in our region will help in the future for the registration of the Rasayana remedies with our local authorities. Going to the end, and I want to share that with you that we have just are celebrating our 33rd anniversary of the introduction of the first university course of medicine of Ayurvedic medicine in one public university in our country. At that moment, Sri Sailaja Chandra told us that this university course in a public university was the first in the Western university, and we express our gratitude to the Bantari for allowing us to be its instruments in our region. And also, we are very grateful to all of you for your support and also for your friendship. Thank you so much, and later I will be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bera. It was a very, very interesting and eye-opening presentation which you have made. Your presentation exhibits your long history, association with Ayurveda, and exploration of the medicinal plants available at your place. You have done a very good research work and presented very good work. You highlighted the Rasayana plants available, which are mentioned in Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia in Latin American countries, the division of plants available in each region, and Dhatu specific, dosha specific, disease specific Rasayanas with special reference to plants available at your place. It seems that more than 50% of the Rasayana plants are available in Argentina and Latin American countries. Then I don't understand why Ayurveda is lingering behind. If you can practice Ayurveda very well at your place. Almost all the plants, all the things are available at your place. Thank you very much for your elaborate presentation. And there are a few questions which we'll be taking at the end, if you permit. Right?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Now it's a turn of our friend Dr. Martin Mitware from Germany. He is head of the Master of Science in Ayurveda program of European Academy of Ayurveda. Has decades of experience in medicine as well as in Ayurveda. Associated with Ayurveda, visited India many times and visited almost, I think, all the Ayurveda expert institutions or notified institutions in India. And he will be delivering his lecture on Ayurveda and psychology. A very interesting topic to all, very, very timely and needy topic for all of us. Dr. Martin, you are welcome for your presentation. Dr. Martin, please. So please unmute yourself.
So welcome to you all. I'm happy to be with you and to share my slide. I don't see it here. Now it's possible.
Yes.
Now it's possible. Very nice. Now you can see it?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Coming. Yes.
Oh, that's good. So everything is fine. So welcome to you all. As you know, we have more chronic diseases all over the world, especially in the rich countries. And we have also more problems on the field of psychology, that people lose their balance, that they are not able to work anymore. We have the theme of burnout disease and depressions and many things. So it's really an important thing, and to use the old wisdom of Ayurveda for the modern times. Therefore, I want to share some thoughts about the relationship between modern psychology and Ayurvedic tradition. So this is a situation maybe for all of us in life. Yeah? Life is not stable. It's a very sensible thing. And if a crisis is coming, and at the moment we have only not personal crisis, but we have also world crisis. If you look to the climate, if we look to the wars, not only the war in Ukraine, but in many other countries we have wars. So, and we have a growing population, and we have limited resources. So with this, all this, we have to look how we can help in this situation, bringing the two worlds together, the Ayurvedic world and the modern psychology. So, as you know, from the image of man, we can see that the psyche was already very present in the Ayurvedic tradition, especially one thing which was very sad for the European tradition did not happen in India. And this is the, if you divide psyche and body into two totally separate parts, then you lose the holistic view on mankind. And so it's very important to see the unity of all psychic processes and all body processes. Because if you don't see this, then you always look on half of the reality. Either you look to the body or you look to the psyche. And you have to look at both perspectives at all. And with this, you can see here is the author of the Western tradition that illness is biographical crisis and challenge. So it is not only a thing of the body, but it always has a place in the personal life, in all the things which were experienced in the past, all the life habits, all the nutrition. So all these things come together and bring about illness. And as you know, there are many psychological dimensions in the old Indian tradition, not only Ayurveda, but I always say Yoga Sutra is the first teaching book of psychology in the history of mankind, because there are so many details and many things from this yoga philosophy has come to the Ayurveda textbooks as well. So, and besides, we have Sankhya, we have Vedanta, we have in the epics many situations in families, in politics, etc., where you can find knowledge of practical psychology. And you have also the richness of mythology, the stories of the gods and all other things, where you can see that these stories have deep knowledge of spirituality and of psychology, because they are a mirror of inner processes of which we can find in ourselves. And if we use these stories, then we can help patients to come again more into their balance. So the holism is a very important aspect also, especially for us who are studying Ayurveda here in the West, because as you know, in the body medicine, the holistic aspects, sometimes they are not present there. So we have many levels where we can look at, and but till now we don't have an elaborated system of psychotherapy in Ayurveda. This is a work to come in the future. We have many good things and the concepts are there, but the psychotherapy is not really developed in detail. Fortunately, we have many holistic concepts of psychology in the Western world. So it's not that we have to invite, that we have to develop new things, but we can bring together the Western concepts and the Ayurvedic yogic concepts into one future psychology, which will be holistic. And I give here on this slide only some important names of people who worked in this direction and which can be used in bringing these two things together. One thing which is very important in the modern psychotherapy is that you look at the resources of a patient. That it's not enough to look at the pathology, what is wrong and what was wrong in childhood, etc., but to look at the resources. And the resources have been defined in Western psychology, but also in Ayurveda we can see on each level of the human being, there are special resources which can be looked at, which can be developed if you have some practical exercise on it, or if you really open up the mind to the free future of your own life. So on the body level, you can have the strength, bala, and endurance. On the senses, you can train your senses to have better perception of yourself, of the things you do in your life, etc. And the manas is a field where reaction and flexibility is very important, because you see, if people are limited in their concepts of life, then they don't see the solutions. Therefore, this reaction capability is very important. And as you sometimes in spiritual texts in India, ahamkara is not looked at as a good thing, but if you look at from health perspective, ahamkara is a very important thing. So if you have strong ahamkara, you can control your life, you have the capacity of coordination of things, you can move forward in action, etc., etc. And then you come to the more spiritual part of the whole picture. On the level of buddhi, you have this quality of inner wisdom and the capability of making good decisions. And it's also very important to train people in this part of the depth of the soul. And on the center of the whole thing, there is a self. And if you get an openness to it, then you can find peace and the sense of life, which is also very important for the psychic health. So this quotation from Charaka, most of you know, and you can see that it is your behavior which is very important to, for the development of health and disease. And I just want to pick one thing out of it. I call it the disease of time, a modern disease, which we have in many countries, and more, if there are more rich people in a country and more Western lifestyle, then we have this disease of time. Yeah? Getting more experience, not being content. There are no breaks in the life, no contentness. Always you try to run faster, to work more, to have more fun, to have more and more and more. And with all these things, you are missing the moment. You are missing the most important thing which you have in life. This is the presence which you have just now and here. And if you look at the young people, you can see that many try to have more, they try to have more experiences at the same time. And then the mind is really distracted, and after some time it will also be tired and will get more problems. So with the old texts of Charaka and other Ayurvedic classics, you can really explain many things which are happening in modern culture and modern lifestyle. So, and what is needed is that a person, a patient, gets an inner activity of his own to really decide what is beneficial for my life and what is harming, which aspect of life is harming for me. Most of the people which I have in my therapies, they don't know anymore what is good for them and what is harmful. And so we have to train this capacity of the inner mind, of the buddhi. I call it the natural power of distinction. It's much more than intellect. It's something like intuition, but it's more than the feeling of the stomach. It's a very clear vision of life which can develop. And on the basis of this, a person can move forward and has the capacity of coming out of his psychic problems. So Ayurveda always says you have to maintain the state of natural order by regularly cultivating the beneficial factors. So you can also see a very close connection from Ayurvedic perspective and the modern behavior therapy. Because in behavior therapy, it is very clear that you look at the day-to-day life and you see how a patient is capable of bringing his inner knowledge to the day-to-day life and to day-to-day actions. So also this is stated very early in the Ayurvedic classical texts. So we have many remedies which are brought forward in the Ayurvedic text. I have to move forward because of time, but I want to tell you that the strengthening of sattva, which is the name of the psychic therapies in Ayurveda, as you all know, is also including the concepts of modern psychology, like psychotherapy, shadow work, this aspect of making decisions in your life, and looking at the past, but also looking at the future, and also finding more inner resources for psychic stability. And I also want to strengthen that Ayurveda has really a very positive perspective on the human being. It's not necessary to lose hope because a person who looks at his life from all perspectives develops sympathy towards beneficial factors after having investigated them. So there is this inner dynamics which can be started by a good talk with the patient and good support in the behavior, etc., etc. And with this, hopefully we can move forward and bring together Western psychology and Ayurvedic perspective. So I thank you for listening, and hopefully you get more interest in this field. And with this, I want to close. Thank you. We don't hear you. Please, India, you have.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So sorry, I was muted. It was a very elaborate presentation. You have the experience which you have on psychology as well as your knowledge of Ayurveda. You have clubbed together. You have explored the books of Ayurveda, the concepts of Sattva, Atma, Manas, which are explained in the textbooks of Ayurveda like Charaka Samhita you have quoted. Not you have boldly told that not having well-defined structured approach in psychiatry or psychology in Ayurveda. Yes, it is right. Ayurveda has explained the psychological diseases and the concepts are scattered here and there. It has to be put at one place and presented, which is the need of the hour and efforts around. Your efforts are also expressed in your presentations. Along with that, you have called Hita Hitam. The very aim of Ayurveda is Hita Hitam, good and bad, or the power of distinction and discrimination, what is required. That is lacking. We are going behind the taste of our tongue and wish of our mind, but we don't know what we require. You have highlighted very rightly about this, and you have touched the concept of Sattva Vajaya, the treatment of Sattva, the remedies, the preventive and therapeutic aspects explained in the books. Thank you very much, Dr. Martin, for a very, very wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Now, going ahead with this, I request my colleague and professor in Department of Panchakarma, Professor Anantaram Sharma, for his deliberation on Ayurveda for geriatric care. Dr. Anantaram Sharma is a postgraduate and doctoral PhD degree holder in the subject of Panchakarma, having an illustrious career of more than 20 years of teaching and research. Before joining to All India Institute of Ayurveda, Dr. Sharma was working with one of the most prestigious Ayurveda colleges, Amrita School of Ayurveda at Kerala. He has the background of Kerala Ayurveda as well as the Ayurveda practiced outside Kerala, and it's our we are fortunate to have Dr. Sharma with us today, and he will be presenting on Ayurveda, the concepts of Ayurveda in geriatrics. Can you see the slides, sir?
Not sure.
Yes, it's beginning, coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Thank you. Dr. Sharma, please.
Dhanvantari Namaha. Respected scholars who all are gathered on this online platform, and I thank my colleague Dr. Rajagopala sir for giving such a wonderful introduction. And today I am going to speak few things regarding the role of Ayurveda in geriatric healthcare. As you know, the concept of longevity is better understood upon the baseline understanding of aging, that is Jara, or sometimes in Ayurvedic classics it is mentioned Mandajara, or many times Ajara is synonymous with longevity. Again, Vridhavastha, Jirnavastha, Jara, all these are synonymously used in various classical literature. And there is some difference of opinion between the acharyas also regarding the age group which Vridhavastha needs to be considered, or the old age need to be considered, that varies from 60 to 70 years of age. This stage of life becomes very much crucial as the deterioration of the body or the dhatus mainly happens in this time period. Apart from that, there will be derangement or deterioration of the strength of the indriya, the bala, the virya, potency, enthusiasm, masculinity, valor, reception, and mental functions, higher mental functions like retention, memory, speech, etc. So, the vardhakya or the old age is generally considered as the deterioration of the physical faculty as well as the mental faculty. So in the present era, the lot of importance has been given to improving the quality of life of the aged and to the preventive and curative aspect of age-related health issues, including arthritis, diabetes, stroke, dementia, Parkinson's, and other senile disorders, and even constipation. Therefore, all humans now look forward to have a healthy, productive lifespan. Ayurveda, the traditional medicine science, provides various remedies for aging and age-related issues. I'm not going to detail into the aging and its physiology. So, to brief, aging is a complex process involving the entire changes that occurs in an individual with the time, leading to decreased ability to survive all adverse circumstances, including elderly health. So, the entire biological process of aging is influenced by many factors like genomic irregularities, epigenetic changes, mitochondrial dysfunction, cellular senescence, altered protein expressions, immunological markers, oxidative stress, that is one of the major reasons, pathological microbiota profile, and telomere shortening and lipolysis. So these biological factors, indicators may be correlated with the concept of aging or the concept of jara, which is mentioned in Ayurvedic literature. So many of them. Let us see that in the coming slide. Active aging is one of the major area now the modern or the conventional medical system is about to think. But Ayurveda always believed that the aging should be hitayu and the sukhayu. So a mere aging or attaining the age of 100 is not sufficient, but a healthy aging, that is very important. That is why a new terminology is also nowadays they coin, that is the health span. So we are aware that lifespan, entire age lifespan of a living human being, but health span is such a lifespan which the productive and healthy lifespan of a person. So, active aging is a term used to describe the maintenance of positive subjective well-being, good physical, social, and mental health, and continued involvement of one's family, peer group, and community throughout the aging process. It is defined by the WHO also, the process of optimizing opportunities of health, participation, and security in order to enhance quality of life as people age. The aging population is the wealth of the country or the wealth of the entire humanity, because the experience gathered by these old age people are very much crucial for guidance for the coming era. Jara in Ayurveda, the term as I mentioned, the Jara is denoted to the aging process. In Charaka Samhita, it is very beautifully mentioned that Ataparam Hiyamana Dhatu Indriya Bala Virya Paurusha Parakrama Grahana Dharana Smarana Vachana Vijnanam Pramshyamanam Dhatu. So the verse goes like this. So Vridhavastha, Jivnavastha, Jara, age categorized from 60 to 70 years of age. This stage of life becomes crucial. Degenerative changes occurs, as I mentioned in the introduction. The Indriya deterioration happens. Dhatu, the tissues or the optimization of the tissues will not be happening, and perception of the Indriyas will be reducing, and Bala, strength, and the immunity reduces, potency reduces, enthusiasm reduces, and the mental faculties like reception, retention, memory, speech, etc. also will be reduced. As per Ayurvedic classics, Jara is such a age group where the predominance of Vata is seen. So because in the childhood the kapha will be more predominant in the bala, but in the middle age the pitta will be predominant. But when it to come to the old age, the vata dosha will be predominant. So that is why majority of the senile disorders or the concept of senescence is related with the mechanism of the vata. So again, to conclude regarding the concept of Jara in Ayurveda, the major changes which occur in this particular period are Valita, the wrinkling of skin, graying of hairs, baldness, and incapacity to do activities of daily living. Some of the physiological changes also seen related with aging, like muscle laxity and some malfunction in the tissue, blood tissue, and loosened joints, abundance of liquefied fat, so lipolysis is in, and impairment in the production of shukra related with genicity, and deterioration of the ojas, lack of enthusiasm, wrinkling of the skin, graying of hairs, baldness, and diminution of the memory, intellect, complexion, and the entire body becomes abode of the disease. So these are some of the Indian related, old age related disease prevalence. So I'm leaving that. Geriatric care goals as per Ayurveda. So there are two main terminologies when it comes to mind when we think about the geriatric care as per Ayurveda. One is the Vayasthapana and the another is the Rasayana. Vayasthapana in Ayurveda deals with the preserving of youthfulness of a body irrespective of its age and restricting progression towards senescence, along with enhancement of longevity, intellect, physical and mental strength, and prevention from the disease. So, Vayasthapana Gana, the group of herbal herbs are also mentioned in the Ayurvedic classics, which are utilized for the prevention or slow down the progression of the aging. And also these medications are utilized to treat the senile diseases related with the senile disorders. Rasayana is the another terminology. Rasayana not only confined to old age or the aging, but it arrests the aging, gives luster to the skin, nourishes the blood and other tissues, because it is the easiest method to get the optimized quality increased tissues in the body, and it energizes and boosts the immune system. Rasayana Chikitsa ensures the longer life with a good physical, mental, and spiritual health for an individual's total well-being. Because rasayana, even though we consume the aushadha or the medicaments in a larger quantity with some prescribed dietary restrictions and the lifestyle modifications, it not only nourishes the body or the mental faculty, but also it guides to achieve as a highly elevated spiritual health. In nutshell, we can see the principles or the components which need to be considered to manage the geriatric condition are dinacharya, rutucharya, ratricharya, various kinds of panchakarma procedures, rasayana, and ahara, vihara, sadvrta palana. To more elaborate, dinacharya are the daily routines which is mentioned as per the classic, starting from the getting up early in the morning and up to the end of the day. So whatever are the things we have to do to strengthen the muscles or to strengthen the agni, to tone up the skin, or to strengthen the eyes, etc., etc., are mentioned as daily routine, starting from Brahmi Muhurti Uttishti, waking up early in the morning, application of the collyriums, and doing the exercise and application of the oil to the body. All these aspects which we practice in day-to-day life can prevent the aging also. And Rutucharya is the another aspect. As per the seasonal changes, we have to modify our our lifestyle also. Also, we need to categorize our food articles also according to the nature of the Rutu or the climate. And the shodhana or the purification, biopurification or the bio-cleansing is also another measures which need to be considered during the various climatic changes. For example, if one goes to during the spring season, especially in the February, March in India, it is considered as Vasanta Kala. During this period, the kapha will be predominant in the body, and if one undergoes to Vamana Karma, the therapeutic vomiting, that can prevent the diseases which may get originated during the next few months can be prevented. So many respiratory disorders and even some digestion related problems and skin related problem, etc., also can be prevented if one person undergoes vamana during the Rutu, that particular season. Similarly, the basti or the medicated enema, therapeutic enema is indicated during the monsoon, and similarly, the therapeutic purgation is indicated in the Sharad Rutu. Another important factor is the Ratricharya. Ratricharya includes the proper methodology, how a person should sleep, and what should be the sexual life, how he should live. All these things are explained. So if you stick on or confine to the practice of the dinacharya, ratricharya or ritucharya, of course the person can get a long life. And if at all at the old age a person gets various kinds of senile disorders, starting from, as I mentioned earlier, from joint disorder or musculoskeletal neurodegenerative or neurological or joint related disorders, even the Alzheimer's or psychiatric related problems, one has to undergo the panchakarma. Again, there are certain limitations for the application of the panchakarma. I'm not going to detail into the application of panchakarma because some of the procedures like vamana and virechana may not be applicable during the age of above the age of 60 or 70. So in between the 60 and 70, some of the panchakarma procedures like a mild virechana or mild vamana can be performed, but above the age of 70, these procedures cannot be performed. But again, the therapeutic enema or the basti karma or the anuvasana basti, oil enema, can be practiced surely even at the old age also. So the basti becomes one of the main tool to treat many of the senile disorders. Again, the Vata is the predominant dosha which is present during the old age. So Basti is one of the main tools to control the Vata. So many of the senile disorders can be well treated with various kinds of Basti therapy. And coming to the Rasayana. Rasayana is such a wonderful application of the internal administration of the herbs in a specified manner with a particular dietary pattern. So various kinds of Rasayana dravyas can be administered in senile disorders. But Rasayana is generally indicated for the early age of the life and in the middle age to promote the optimized dhatus. But in old age, rasayanas are not generally indicated. But again, the rasayana, one type of rasayana, that is naimittika rasayana, with a particular reason, if you administer the rasayana for contracting against a disease or to mitigate a disease, that kind of rasayana can be utilized, and of course, it will give the palliative effect in the body. So various kinds of rasayanas also mentioned, and the next one is the proper utilization of food and the lifestyle. And Sadvrita Palana, or the Achara Rasayana. The proper code of conduct is the another key factor which can be utilized for the slowdowning the progression of the aging, also to prevent the aging to some extent. And Sadvrita Palana and Achara Rasayana are also very essential to treat the senile disorders. So this is just principles and the concept of aging and the goals of geriatric care I mentioned. And with these words I conclude. And thank you one and all for patience listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Dr. Anandaram Sharma is professor of Panchakarma, and he has highlighted the role of Panchakarma in management of geriatric conditions. The concept related with Jara, I think the word geriatric
I think that they have gone offline. We will remain here.
Yeah, it has stopped. I have to see.
Yes. Mark, how is your mic? Is working? Okay, yes, perfect.
Mic is working, but India's not coming through in the moment. Dr. Rajagopala, now we can see you. Yeah,
you
now.
can go offline just a few seconds.
please reactivate. Thank you. I think now things are clear. So sorry for the interruption. He has highlighted the concept of Jara or aging in Ayurveda and what are the diseases, what are the conditions arising in the aging process, the senile changes, the geriatric issues, and how Ayurveda can attend these geriatric issues successfully. Vayasthapana, Rasayana, these are the different terminologies used in the management component. And Dr. Sharma has also highlighted the role of Dinacharya, Rutucharya, Ratricharya, that is the healthy living lifestyle practices in preventing aged or aging related issues. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for your wonderful presentation. We could have heard more about the management part from him because of the time constraints we have limited to this. Hope they will come, we'll have more elaborated presentation on Vardhatya or Jara related or geriatric related aspects from Dr. Sharma. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Going ahead with the presentation, we have Mr. Vin Sylvester from Rosenberg Academy of Ayurveda, Germany.
Yes.
Yeah, Vin Sylvester has a master's degree in health management and heads the Q Fitness Academy of in Bonn, and he's closely associated with the Rosenberg Academy at Versailles, Germany. He has a special interest in martial arts like Kalari Payattu. Am I right, Vin?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. and meditation, massage, yoga, and other things. Mr. Veer will be speaking on Ayurveda as prevention in occupational health management, the subject of his interest as well as our interest. And I welcome Dr. Vin, Mr. Vin for his presentation. Vin, please.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to start my presentation. I'm not sure if this is possible now.
Yeah, you have already made us presenter.
Okay, it tells me I have to start GoToMeeting new, so I'm not sure whether I should go out and come back again, or I do it without my presentation. What do you think?
Just try it for re-entering.
Okay, so I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, please. We'll wait for it.
Oh, that was quick. Now I need permission again, please. Can you hear me? Yes, wonderful.
Yes, Win. You are hearing you properly.
Perfect. Thank you. And now I can start the presentation. So,
good.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you to the Rosenberg European Academy of Ayurveda. Thank you to the All India Institute, and thank you to all of you, and for this opportunity to speak about this very interesting topic. And I'm very happy to be in line after the first speakers, because then I can skip over a few topics and dive more deeply into what I have to say here. So we will look at three aspects. First, challenges in occupational health, and I will highlight the topics that I'm working on specifically in Germany. Then Ayurveda in the business context, and I would like to share with you what challenges I have in bringing Ayurveda to a world that does not know Ayurveda, of course, and how I bridge the gap. And then the final part will be best practices of where I work with Ayurveda, how I do it, and maybe I can give you some suggestions of how to proceed in occupational health. So thank you for the introduction. I did my master's in health management, occupational health management, and I did my Ayurvedic education at the European Academy of Ayurveda. And you see there medical Ayurveda specialist and Ayurveda health coach. And there are three things. IHK, it's the Chamber of Industry and Commerce in Germany. And the European Academy of Ayurveda, they joined forces with the Chamber of Commerce to build an educational program to help Ayurvedic practitioners to become Ayurvedic specialists also for the field of occupational health. And I will talk about that in the end as well. I'm working with Ayurveda not only in the field of occupational health, but also as a mental coach, with bringing all the psychological aspects that Martin Midwede just mentioned to athletes and high performers. I work with leaders in different organizations. I work with athletes who strive in world championships. I'm working especially in the field of dancing, sports, ballroom dancing, breaking, and different kinds. And in order to bridge the gap between Ayurveda and modern thinking and modern psychology, I just started this semester a Master of Science program in applied psychology. So hopefully in the future, I will be able to understand more deeply the modern understanding and bring maybe some new ideas there. So where am I working? I'm working as an occupational health manager or advisor, especially for ministries. For some reason, I am in governmental organizations most of the time. So I'm working with different ministries, I'm working with the federal police, and I'm working with the federal army. I remember there was this big study in New Delhi in the Corona crisis with more than 80,000 police officers, I think. So I have a connection there too. And I'm working a lot with leaders, and I'm helping leaders to understand from an Ayurvedic point of view what health and healthy leadership means, and I'm bringing them our understanding in modern words. So let's start with occupational health. What is occupational health? It has several objectives. Of course, first, safe physical work environment and safe psychosocial environment. And we have to remember the history of occupational health is, at least in Germany, it is like that. We try to help people not to get sick or not to get injured. It's not the approach towards swasta as we understand it, like health and well-being. It's more not being sick, not being ill, or being fit for work. You don't need to be healthy to be fit for work. It's just enough to be fit for work. So that was the old understanding of occupational health. Now, the prevention of non-communicable diseases, as Martin also mentioned, is a big aspect also for modern companies, because we have an aging population. We have more and more older people, especially in Germany. 1/4 of our workforce will go into retirement in this decade. And there's not enough people coming. And also the young generation is suffering from a lot of psychological problems. So we have a big problem there. And the companies understand we have to do something. So they are doing like workshops and training programs and lectures on diabetes, on heart disease, cardiovascular diseases, and so on. So this is another new aspect of occupational health. And the newest idea and direction of occupational health is to go towards health promotion and well-being, understanding that it's important that the person feels well and has a good health overall to be good performing. And what most people in occupational health do not understand, that it's important to bridge also the gap between health and business success, because many companies in the beginning think, okay, it will cost us a lot of money, but actually they are saving a lot of money if they invest this money. So the return on invest will be much bigger, but many people don't know how to bridge this gap and how to make this understandable to the authorities who decide what is to do, what is to be done. So if we look at occupational health, there are basically 3 types of hazards. So we have physical, chemical, or biological agents that we are dealing with. We have machines that we are dealing with, also with the digitalization, and we have to deal with other human beings. And these are the types of interaction that we have. And of course, these then are the hazards that we have. And if we look at the modern workspace in Europe or in Germany, we have the problem of sitting all the time, like we are doing now here for the next few hours, sitting. So this is a big problem for our health, of course, and the psychosocial part. And the psychosocial part, the problems that we see there, as I see it, and I think Martin would agree, and many of you, is this lack of reconnection. We lost our connection with religion in the Western world. The split of body and mind is one split, but there was also the split of spirituality, religion on the one hand, and sciences on the other hand. So people are in between that. So they want to follow the sciences, but they don't feel fulfilled. They don't feel happy, and they don't know why. And in spirituality, if you don't have a connection to something, that's the meaning of the word religion, to be reconnected with something. If you don't have that, if you just have a broad idea of spirituality, then you are still lost. So this is something which I address also in my coachings one-on-one with leaders and workers, but also on a level of the organization to address where we are heading. Maybe you know Devdutt Patnaik. He was chief belief officer of a big company in India. And his job was, as a chief belief officer, to think about what do people believe in, what is their religion, what is their spirituality, and how does that contribute to the success of the whole organization. So this is what I'm trying to do in very small steps in Germany. So what are the challenges that I specialized in? We have 3 big challenges. First is the digital transformation. We have more and more people working remote. I mean, it's wonderful to have all of you connected here this way. We wouldn't have done that maybe 4 years ago or maybe like 2 years ago. Corona changed a lot and fast forwarded us into the future. So the digital transformation is something people have to deal with. And one big thing that we have is lack of connection. The physical connection that we all need. I think the modern world does not yet really realize how important it is to be really connected man to man, really human being to human being. There's scientific research starting. And in Germany, we have a professor who wrote a book. It's called Homo Hapticus, the touching man, and showing how important the sense of touch is for our overall health. So this is one aspect of the digital transformation, but also how to use your body, how to stay healthy in this more and more digital world. This is one thing that I focus on in my work in occupational health. The second part is the demographic change. We just heard about aging and rasayanas. I think this is a huge thing in occupational health in the next years and decades to come, because as we age, at least in the West, we get more and more sick. So we get older, yes, but we also have a lot of diseases. So to keep the workforce healthy till retirement and even beyond retirement is a big thing. And Ayurveda is the system that can give a lot of clues in this context. And the last part, it's a bit smaller, is diversity. I don't know what it's like in India, but in the European world, it's a big thing. Diversity, everybody has to be treated nicely, and you have the different kinds of genders, and you have the different kinds of identities and many things. And as I did my research in this field, it's interesting how much Ayurveda can contribute to that. Because from a modern perspective, we know only recently that the gender of a child depends on various factors, not only on the chromosomes. And I remember when I was in Varanasi at BHU many years ago, there was a professor mentioning, or maybe it was in Nadia, we can influence the gender of a baby in the first few days of conception. And at that point, when he said that, I didn't understand what he meant, because for me it was clear we have the chromosomes and that's it. Now I understood it's not only the chromosomes, but it's how they are activated if you become a man or a female person or a trans person or whatever. So even here in this context, on a very basic biological level, Ayurveda already knows how we develop and how this understanding can help us to gain more confidence and compassion towards each other and understand each other more. So these three aspects, digital transformation, demographic change, and diversity, are the aspects that I focus on in my work. And I use my Ayurvedic knowledge, my understanding of Ayurvedic psychology, my understanding of rasayanas, my understanding of Ayurvedic biology, if you want, to bridge the gap and to help people understand themselves more fully, to understand, why do I feel lonely if I'm in the home office? Why do I get gray hair, but I'm still 30 years old? We experience this accelerated aging in so many people. So this is something that we can address with Ayurveda. If we look at the healthy workplace model of the WHO, they say the key elements of successful workplace health promotion is having clear goals and objectives, linking the objectives of occupational health to business objectives, have a strong management support. And this is an important thing that I experience when I get invited to be a speaker on health issues. Quite often I hear that the management is not really supportive. So I'm somewhere in between, and I try not to step on anyone's toes, but I just try to state facts from different areas and help people understand. But this is an important thing. If you have transformational, healthy leadership, then it's easier, of course, to bring Ayurveda or Ayurvedic wisdom to the employees and to the leaders. You need a supportive environment, and you need to adapt to social norms. And this is something that I would focus on, because, quite frankly, when I use Ayurveda in occupational health, in the beginning, I don't call it Ayurveda. So what I do is I do health education, I do leadership coaching, and something that I just started last year is so-called web-based trainings to help people understand about Ayurvedic contexts, ideas of health promotion, and so on. But in all these three things, I usually do not mention the word Ayurveda. I'm very sorry to say that, but usually it's not Ayurveda. Rather, I use modern words. So I use the word lifestyle medicine. I use the word preventive medicine. I use the concepts of chronobiology. I read last week there is the first clinic in Germany which arranged the shifts of their workers according to the biorhythm of the individual workers. I don't know how they are going to do it. I haven't yet read the study or the program. I just read it as a news article, but I think this is very interesting to bring shifts and biological Ayurvedic wisdom to that. Actually, last week I was in a place where I had a talk, and then one person raised their hand and they asked, what about our shifts? How, because I talked about going to sleep at the right time and what happens in the body during the first hours of sleep if you go to the right time, if you go to bed in the right time. And then later on, I understood they have to take shifts varyingly. Like sometimes they work from 12 o'clock in the night till 4, or from 10 to 4, or from 10 to 2. And then they have a morning shift again, and then afternoon shift. And at that point, I was at a loss because I thought they would have a more regularity, so I could help them there. So this is a big problem for many fields. Then the field of epigenetics. This is very fascinating for many people. You can switch off your genes, and you can switch off your genes, and you can change the state in your body. So this is interesting for them. So through this way of epigenetics, I can go into Ayurvedic concepts. And a nice bridge is also this psycho-neuro-endocrino-immunology. So this PNEI, or clinical PNEI, this is a very nice concept, modern concept, which is largely recognized. And there I can easily bridge the gap and make people understand. So you understand it from the PNEI perspective. Now there's this Ayurvedic perspective. It tells you the same, but it even tells you more, which is not yet studied yet. So maybe you can try this too. Then a big thing for me is what Martin talked about, raising awareness for the importance of values, of virtues, of appreciation for health promotion and business success, and also step by step raising awareness for the importance of Sattvavajaya, of sattva, of religious belief, of spirituality. In Germany, we have this concept of, or not in Germany, but this in modern world, we have this concept of salutogenesis of Aaron Antonovsky, who looked at people who survived the Holocaust. And he expected people to have psychological trauma, physical trauma and things, but he met people who seemed to be healthy. So he looked at what kept these people healthy. And he called it the sense of coherence. So there's this concept of self-efficacy and also the sense of meaning. There's a meaning in life. There's a meaning in everything that's going on. And actually, when I work one-on-one with people, this is the biggest issue that people experience. They lack a sense of meaning, especially if they are confronted with death, losing a person that they loved. And the science doesn't give them comfort. And lacking religion and having some broad idea of spirituality, which is like karma something, or I have everything in my hands, in my power, I can visualize everything and it will come true, this kind of strange spirituality, this will not help me to deal with these situations. So Ayurvedic psychology helps me to help my clients better in their life and in their work. So I would like to share some specific best practice examples. So in the big picture on the right, the upper picture, you see speech therapy. And I'm working with a bigger practice of speech therapists, and the leaders and the owners of this company, they asked me if I would bring this Ayurvedic knowledge and holistic knowledge to their team. So what I did is I prepared an online program. It's called Inner Peace Mastery, where I address a lot of issues like stress-related symptoms, health-related symptoms. And so I do a lot of psychoeducation, I do a lot of health education, and I always bridge it to Ayurveda. And I call it Ayurveda because they are open for it. So I can refer to Charaka Samhita, I can refer to Ayush, and I can refer to many things from there, and it's easier, of course, to promote health. On the lower picture, you see like federal police and federal army soldiers. Last year, I did a program, I attended a program, it's called Mental Performance and Resilience for Special Operation Forces. And it was interesting because the program was like 100% Ayurveda in a way. We talked about pranayama, but of course we didn't call it pranayama, but breath work or breath exercises. We did yoga nidra. They called it yoga nidra. And we did a lot about diet. We talked about the microbiome. We talked about the right thing at the right time, and a lot of different aspects. So Ayurveda, from my perspective, would have been the umbrella to that. But the nice thing is this knowledge is coming more and more backed up by solid modern science. So it's easier for us to interact and to make, to gain understanding for the concepts that we have in Ayurveda. I give you one example that I use when I give my talks, like for example, on the digital transformation. We heard about dementia just a few minutes ago and Alzheimer's disease. And the thing is, in Germany and in the Western world, we feel like, or the prognosis is that every second woman and every third man will suffer from dementia at some point in their life. This is a tsunami which is coming towards us. And of course, most of dementia is based on cardiovascular problems, but there's also this Alzheimer's thing. And what I bring here is I show them how much overload we have from the digital world. And then I quote the Gita, and you see the quote here. And I just go through that, and I give the example of, imagine you don't have Wi-Fi, and you want to check something on the internet. And then you read these texts, these verses, and you immediately understand what I'm talking about. So I don't need to go into the spiritual aspect of that, but people understand, oh, there is this old knowledge, this old wisdom, this old understanding. Maybe it's fruitful to dive into that a bit more. Another thing that I used quite a lot is the things that we got from Ayush last year concerning corona and prevention. So I'm very happy for whoever did this to translate all these pictures into German, so they have a very official look and a very nice look. And I shared this a lot with many people. And of course, in the beginning, people laugh at you when you tell them, okay, you have to drink warm water and you have to do some yoga and pranayama and meditation. But over the years, you saw so much modern scientific research proving all these concepts. So it was nice to see that this is going in the same direction. One thing I would like to mention in this context, because I heard it a few minutes ago from the speaker who talked about the aging population and how important it is to keep the older people healthy because of their experience. And it's important to have them in our teams to go through the challenges of the next decades. There are some companies like SAP and other companies who try to get rid of all the workers older than 45 because they say only the digital natives can conquer the challenges of the future. I don't know where this concept comes from, but my feeling is also we need to stay together to bring old and young together. And there is some research telling if an older person feels comfortable with the change in the digital world and dives into it, they feel up to 13 years younger. And of course, their physiology will be younger because they are connected with young people, they are connected with new and exciting technology, and they keep themselves healthy by going through these challenges. So you have these two poles, and we can bring some important ideas into that. Finally, one thing that I'm connected with is this educational program, Ayurveda and Yoga Health Coach, certified by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Germany. This was an idea more than 10 years ago from Kerstin Rosenberg of the European Academy of Ayurveda, and she asked me if I would be able and willing to create a program to help Ayurvedic specialists to go into occupational health. And the last 10 years, we educated a lot of people, and it's really interesting because of these three letters, IHK, Chamber of Industry and Commerce, people like eliminate the word Ayurveda and they are willing to listen. So this certification program helped bridging the gap and helped bringing Ayurveda more and more into companies. And we have like people who wrote books, people who did like psychological profiling, Vata, Pitta, Kapha types and Sattva, Rajas, Tamas for fitting workers into the right spot within the company, and many other ideas which followed, bringing yoga, yoga nidra, and many other things into the occupational field. So this is my contribution to you here. I hope I brought some ideas to you how I use Ayurveda in occupational health. I didn't dive into the specifics as we heard in the lectures before. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Vin Sylvester, for your lucid presentation on the subject of your interest as well as the subject of interest of the world, particularly the industries and the professions. You have highlighted the role of Ayurveda concepts, particularly in occupational health. Though you have not named it as Ayurveda specific, all the concepts of Ayurveda you have taken into consideration. In your presentation, you highlighted the WHO's healthy workplace model and how it can be interpreted within our language. Basics of occupational health, the 5 types of hazards of occupational health. We have very specifically highlighted the split of body and mind is the reason for everything, which of course Martin also highlighted earlier. The importance of spirituality in maintaining good mental balance or health as a whole. The importance of biorhythm. It was very fascinating to know about the introduction of biorhythm based work schedule in industries in Germany. This will be a new opening for the world as a whole. The PNEI axis which we are talking about, psycho, neuro, endocrine and immunity axis. Of course, earlier psycho, neuro, immunity axis, psycho, neuro, endocrine axis were discussed. Now the pandemic has opened a new era of PNEI axis also. You highlighted the best practices and you have quoted the tsunami of dementia, the tsunami of senile changes, the tsunami of NCDs conquering all over the world, and the only way of preventing it is the best healthy life practices. Also, you have quoted the lines from Bhagavad Gita, which is a guide map for healthy mind. Ayurveda and Yoga Health Coach, IHK, the program of Germany. It's a very interesting one. We will also go through it and we'll try to inculcate those things in our country also. Thank you very much for your lucid presentation with experience and a very, very fantastic oratory skill. Thank you very much, Mr. Vin. Thank you. Going ahead to the presentation, we have our faculty, Dr. Ramakant Yadav here. Dr. Ramakant Yadav is an associate professor and an expert in mental health. His post-graduation dissertation work was also on mental health. He worked under a very stalwart in the mental health concepts of Ayurveda, Professor Ramharsh Singh, or R.H. Singh, popularly is known as. There's a lot of literary contributions to Ayurveda, and a disciple of Ramharsh Singh, probably we are going to hear Ramharsh Singh sir again. Sir will be speaking on Ayurveda for mental health. Ramakant Yadav sir, please.
Okay, namaste to all. I welcome all the dignitaries present on this platform from India and abroad. And really, it's a wonderful time, and we are here. Definitely, I think the World Mental Health Day is coming I think tomorrow. So this is a high time when we are going to discuss this topic with the fraternity all over the world. So what I am going to discuss is about the Ayurveda for mental well-being. Next, please. Definitely, what we see nowadays that not only the disorders which are affecting our body, but there are many disorders which are affecting our minds too. I must say that the ratio, if you are going to assess, I think the mental health related problems will be more. But it is a really pitiful situation because we used to ignore a lot about these diseases, and most of the population that is not that doesn't accept such type of disorders as a disease. So what the world is facing now is a you can say burden of mental disorders, something like depression and bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, dementia, and you see the numbers, and the numbers are in millions. That in depression, you can say you may say it's about 264 million, bipolar disorders about 45 millions, schizophrenia about 20 millions, and dementia more than 50 million. So this is a kind of statistics which is present nowadays. But out of these, how many are taking the medication, and whether the taking that much of medication is relevant or not, that is also a big issue nowadays. Next. Coming about this mental health, we can say that it's a we can say we can assess ourselves, then why we are feeling and why how and what we are feeling. So if we are excelling in our activities, in daily activities, we are doing it on an optimum level, then our mental status is, you can say, a kind of excellence. And next, if we are thriving and if we are surviving, then that is a kind of so-so situation. And but if we are struggling, then definitely that crisis comes. So this is a really a wonderful parameter to assess our own selves. When we feel how much enthusiastic we are depending on our social conditions, and as well as physical as well as mental condition. So this is a very good parameter. On this we can assess ourselves also. What is not a mental disorder? This is most important because there is very you can say marginal difference between neurosis and this neurological disorders, and it is very important to consider that what is not a mental disorder. We can say this experiencing the emotions of anxiety and depression at some stage of life is very common to everyone. This is a everyday feeling. Everyone goes through it, but somehow everyone overcomes or cope with that situation. Some don't need to seek any medical help to come back to normal state, and because we have a coping mechanism, so we don't take medication for such type of condition. So we have to understand that such thing is a normal process which is happening to each and every individual, and that is not necessary to take medication for all these things. And what is mental illness? A mental health condition that has a negative effect on way of an individual. Suppose what happens? Overthinking, overfeeling, and uh, behavior that is not a normal behavior. So such type of things, if we are finding in our lives, then definitely there has to be some kind of intervention also. And if you go through the classification of this mental disorder, you can say any kind of emotion, whether it is depression or whether it is anxiety or anything else, which is persisting for more than 15 days, and that is having a gross effect on the daily routine activities for like sleeping or eating or something like that. So if these activities are going to affect our daily lives, then that has to be tagged as a kind of mental disorder. And what is the importance of mental health? That Ayurveda is really given wonderfully. This everybody knows. I think most of the person from nook and corner of the world who study Ayurveda, they have a good definition that is prasanna atmendri manas swastha ityabhidiyate. Such type of things have been described. Means prasanna atma indriya and mana means not only body but our supernatural things like atma, that has to be also in place, and indriya, our sense organs, and our man, that is psyche, that has also a kind of in a balanced state so that everybody feels healthy. Not only that, that also includes that balance of enzymes and metabolites, balance of tissue system and state of excretory functions. Ultimately, the soul, cells, organs, and mind, it has a kind of correlation, and they all exert a kind of healthy effect on the human body. This is this picture I like very much because I have found it somewhere, and it shows that how our man is acting. And if we don't have psyche or man with our body, then our body will not act in a coherence. Our body is.
Sorry, doctor. Sorry, excuse me. We are seeing only the first diapo, first slide. The presentation is not to be seen.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
1 minute, 1 minute, please.
1 minute, please.
Yes.
It is visible now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right now, it is seeing the nutrition and mental health diapo, but I think that you must press F5 for presentation.
Stop sharing, reshare. Stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay. Then go again for sharing. Share screen. Yes.
I think after first slide, just. I think connection is lost. I think. Hello.
I just want to say it was there, but you have to use full screen, and then it's moving forward normally.
Share something, already something is being shared.
Stop sharing, Guru. Stop sharing and go. Now go to the screen.
Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible. If I guess that you must go to the yes. Now, right now it's perfect.
Now it's moving.
It's moving. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. And just come back to.
Yes, perfect.
Back. Yes. From this. I have been discussing with you all about this disease, the burden of mental health, and these are the parameters on which we can easily assess our activities. That our what is the status of our mental health, and what is the important, that is what is not a mental disorder. This is really important thing, and we have to understand that experiencing the emotions of anxiety and depression at some stage of life is very common to everyone. This is a common feeling, and everybody is going through this anxiety and depression. And I think every day such type of things are happening to everybody's life. But every time we don't need any kind of medication. Our body mechanism is there and coping with this condition. So that will give a kind of relief to the person. Some don't need to seek any medical help to come back to normal state. That we, in this condition, we don't need a kind of medical help. And what is mental illness? I have just narrated that if anything happening to our mental health, like overthinking or overfeeling or unlikely behaviors, such type of things, is if they are happening to our life, and also they are hampering our daily activities to a great level, great extent, so that will become a kind of mental illness. That it is important how we are going to identify this mental illness. If one kind of overthinking, if overthinking continues for a period of 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks, and it is not coming to the normal status, then the medication has to be started, and the person will need some kind of medicine, also kind of psychotherapy also. Importance of medical health is definitely described in Ayurveda. From the, if you will find the definition of swasth, the healthy definition of healthy, which is given in, by the Ayurveda, you will find that prasanna, atma, indriya, and man, such type of conditions are described. And also this picture I really like very much, because mind is the main motivator behind all these activities, whether they are sense organs or sensory functions or motor functions, whatever be the function, mind is the ultimate controller of all the activities. Whether it be consciousness, whether it is higher intellect like buddhi, and whether it is mind, everything has to be controlled by manas itself. So this is a kind of importance of our mental health to everyone's life. What are the functions of mind? Coming to this, it causes a kind of inference. Well, these are the functions of mind: inference, analysis, whether whether anything is good or bad, thinking, and focusing, and determination based on different kind of you can say thinking, that determination based on the thinking. Especially in Ayurveda, we call it vicharanam, that is called a kind of sankalp. This is a kind of condition, or you can say function, which is performed by our mind. Whenever rajas and tamas increases and the functions of mind are compromised, manorogas develop. This is a common saying in Ayurveda. That is a kind of you can say that causes the mental ill health. What are the domains of mental health? Definitely, the ideal state of mind is sattvic. Everybody knows that is, if the sattvic guna is prevailing, then mental health will be remaining a lot of in a healthy state. Rajas is the active force behind all the movements of both sensory and motor organs, and tamas gives rise to the elements which form the basis of material creation. So a kind of attachment that causes, if you are having a more and more attachment to materialistic things, that is a kind of tamas activity of our brains. Ayurveda also says that negative feelings are emotional toxins. They give rise to chronic mental disorders like anxiety, neurosis, and depression. So a kind of trigun are there. In this picture, you can say these three gunas are there, like sattva, raja, and tam. They are having major activities of activity, knowledge, and inactivity. Rajas is related to activity, tamas is related to inactivity, and sattva is related to knowledge. Definitely, this is the nutrition and mental health. Definitely, this is the most important part. Everybody is nowadays asking about this: what is sattvic diet? What is rajasic diet? What is tamasic diet? Such type of things, which are also mentioned in Ayurveda as well as in our one of our books in Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that is what is kind of food is sattvic and what kind of food is rajasic and what kind of is tamasic. So if you will find that in sattvic food, definitely which is pure, light and sweet, that is you can say sweet, not sweet means not consuming chocolates and every day, but sweet means that is a kind of a balanced sweetness in regimes. So you can say sweet fruits, you can adopt for that, fresh vegetables, herbs and spices, natural sweetness like honey, cold pressed oil, such type of things are sattvic in nature. Similarly, if you go for rajasic food, that is onions and garlic, radishes, eggplant, hot peppers, fermented foods like yogurt, and especially bread and other substances which are as a product of fermentation, tobacco and stimulants like spicy foods. So such type of foods may be taken as rajasic food. And what is the tamasic food is, in one word, I would say that whatever is difficult to digest is a kind of tamasic food, whether it be red meat or whether it be mushrooms, garlic, excessive use of garlics and onions, or artificial sweetness, alcohol especially, and overripe or rotten foods or freezed items. So such type of items which are having lesser and lesser food value, so that will be a kind of tamasic in nature. Some common mental disorders, everybody I think knows most of the things, but I will narrate just quickly. That is anxiety disorder, including panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorders and phobias, depression, bipolar disorders and other mood disorders, eating disorders, personality disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, and psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia. So these are the most common disorders. Out of that, these anxiety disorders and depression are the most common disorders we usually face in daily life and daily practice also. What are the common causes of mental disorders? That is most important is emotional stress. In Ayurveda, there is a quotation, very beautiful quotation given in Ayurveda, that is if there is a kind of any kind of stress, whether kal, earth, and karma, means whether it is time or whether it is sense organs or whether it is whether functions, if they are having any kind of disturbances, that will cause a kind of stress. Kalar karmana yogo hin mithya atimatraka. This is a kind of a slok that is mentioned in Ayurvedic classic. So occupational stress is there, trauma may be there, poor upbringing, that is a most important part, that is poor upbringing, that causes a lot of chaos in later stages of life. Repressive religion, especially influence from disturbed individuals, sexual abuse, perversion, drugs, excessive thinking, excess anger, hate, fear, such type of emotions, and dullness or sleeplessness. So such type of things are the most common causes for any mental disorder. What is stress? This is everybody in every life. Oh, we are having a lot of stress. We are having a lot of stress. So, if what is stress? A comparison between the demand on the person and his ability to cope. If a person is able to cope, then there is no stress at all. A person will cope well to the situation, and if person is having a functioning, alert, and safe, sustained stress leads to increased risk of variety of illness. If not able to cope, then stress will happen, and ultimately that will cause a kind of different kind of disorders, whether they are anxiety related or depression related. These are the external stressors for disease, mental illnesses like birth, death, loss of job, promotion, marital status, physical environment like noise, bright lights. Such things are there. Social interaction is there. Organizational rules, regulations, and deadlines. That can also cause a lot of stress. Daily hassles. This is called up stress. And internal stressors are most important. I think negative self. If any person is always self-criticizing himself or in the negative frame of mind, that is will cause a lot of stress to the individual. Lifestyle choices, This is also one of the stressors, mind traps, and personality traits. These are all the stressors which are found in everybody, but somebody can be affected into a different level. Stress-related disorders. These are depression, anxiety, memory impairment, even Alzheimer's disease, asthma, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, insomnia, heart disease, post-traumatic stress disorder. Name any disease that is related to stress. Not these are not the only 6 or 7 diseases, but name any disease in due course of time that will cause a kind of stress to the human being. Chronic stress is a resultant of HPA axis, and similarly, acute stress is also there is a chronic stress and there is acute stress. So this is the mechanism, and ultimately impairment of memory and cognitive functions appear. And similarly, in mental health status, you will, if you are going to examine the patient, you will find such type of anomalies present in the patient. So this is the kind of phenomena how the stress happens. Sign and symptoms, definitely I will go through quickly, because the cognitive symptoms are there, emotional symptoms are there. Cognitive symptoms are like memory problems, inability to concentrate, poor judgment, seeing only negative, anxious and racing thoughts, constant worrying. Similarly, moodiness, irritability and short temper, agitation, inability to relax, feeling overwhelmed, sense of loneliness and isolation, depression. Such type of symptoms are a feature of stress. Now, treatment modalities with Ayurveda. Number one, that is first and foremost, prevention is always better than cure. So, going on to preventive aspect, I think my earlier speaker, Dr. Anand Ram Sharma, has given many things. So, my task is a little easier. So, Dincharya, following a good routine that will help to cope with the stress. A good routine means my earlier speaker, I think, was talking about in Germany, there is a on the biological clock based routine. So, that might be a kind of Dincharya, part of Dincharya also. So, this has to be regulated and followed. And what is Dincharya? This is nothing, there is nothing a kind of rocket science. This is a simple thing, timely getting up from the bed and doing your activities in a timely manner, and sleeping at a right time. So such kind of things are which has to be taking food on time, doing some exercises, and taking good food, and sleeping to your normal time. Ritucharya, this is a seasonal regime. I will not go into the detail, but in nutshell, you will say exercise regularly, eat healthy, keep healthy life, reduce stress, and drink plenty of water. And definitely, ultimately, what will happen? You will maintain your these tridosh like Vavat, Pitta, and Kapha to a optimum level. And when you are achieving optimum level, that will cause a kind of healthy condition. Achara Rasayan, really, it has been well talked about in the earlier speech, so I will not go in detail. But definitely, what happens? A kind of person must be, uh, you can say, free from alcohol, and maybe truthful, free from anger. Such type of situation, if you find, that will create a effect like Rasayan. Definitely, we are having ego, and that is ego has to be taken care of. This is a no most important thing, and spiritual knowledge, that is also important. One has to be little bit of spiritual also. That causes a good that helps in a good cope of stress situations. This is kind of work-life balance. Definitely 8 hours of sleep, 4 hours for personal time, 8 hours dedicated working hours, and 4 hours fruitful with family and friends. So such type of balance, if anybody, if not 100%, if say more than 75%, 70%, 80%, if anybody follows such type of pattern, then that will definitely release the stress level to a lot extent. Treatment modalities, definitely these are available with Ayurveda, and these are curative as well as restorative also. But this needs a kind of expertise and has to be taken in accordance with a qualified, you can say, practitioner who is practicing Ayurveda and who is registered. Yoga and pranayam are good things one should follow, and that will relax a lot your muscles and nerves and the flow of blood in your different parts of the body. That will be to a optimum level. And pranayam, I think in particular, that stimulates vagal or parasympathetic sympathetic activities, and that ultimately decreases stress. Ultimately, three types of pranayam I think one should, you can say, practice every day, like Anulom Vilom, Brahmari, and this, you can say, Kapalbhati. Such type of pranayam everybody can practice on daily basis, and this is simple in practice too. Brahmari is one of the pranayam that improves the circulation of above the clavicle. So your head, nose, eyes, and brain all will get a kind of proper oxygenation. Yoga and pranayam, again, these are better activities, and that will boost the immune system. Pranayam brings peace and steadiness. So I think in every mental health, for the management of health, if crisis goes over, if a patient is in an acute condition, I think that is difficult to practice the pranayam and yoga. But if patient gets stabilized, then we can practice such type of things on this patient. Yes, coming to the chikitsa, means treatment. There are a lot of publications are there which are related to our major rasana, especially the drugs acting on our brain health, and many publications are there. The major drugs are like glycyrrhiza glabra, that is known as Madhuyasti, Tinospora cordifolia, Guduchi, Bacopa monnieri, that is Brahmi, Convolvulus pluricolis, that is Shank Pushpi, and Vidania somnifera. These are only, I have just narrated only 4 or 5 drugs, but they are, I think, more than 50 drugs are there. They are having an effect on mental health. So they are not only that we are using with all the evidences. These are all the medicines which are having a good effect, and they are well published in our reputed journals. Definitely, these are some other journals which are published on the activities of Ayurvedic concepts related to psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is really one of the important factors. Nootropic efficacy of Sattva Vajra Chikitsa. If you will practice a kind of psychotherapy, that will increase the memory process. A kind of is good. There are good publications on the medication as well as Sattva Vajra Chikitsa. Yes. This is the mode of action in nutshell. That is, Madhur Sheet qualities bring about soothing effect, help in bringing about Sthira and Dhriti to establish stability of mind and enhance memory. Sthira and Dhriti means a part of, you can say a kind of cool and calm condition of the mind. Katu Tikras helps in keeping the mind alert, and Kasharas Ushna Gun enhance the alertness and quick understanding and retention of experiences. Utility of Panchkarma, definitely I am not going to detail, but earlier it has been already narrated. But this part is very important. I think food for mental health. A person is what he eats, because we should eat a kind of good food. We should incorporate walnuts and you can say broccoli, such type of food which are having definitely many factors, including they can get with the depression and schizophrenia and low folic acid levels, many more factors that can be That is dark leafy greens, we can say good source of omega-3 and magnesium. Similarly, beans contain high fiber and stabilize blood sugar levels. And also they are having tryptophan, which ultimately causes a kind of antidepressant-like activity. So they are good for mental health. Ultimately, so such type of practice we have to always keep in mind, and ultimately we will keep our mental health in a healthy state. And with this, I again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a very elaborate presentation on mental health, not only from Ayurveda concepts, of course, you have touched the concepts of the present day practice also. The burden of mental health disorders, I think it is one of the most sought medical specialty in the Western world. In India also, it is an emerging specialty and emerging most demanded branch of medical science. Sir, you have highlighted the role of mind, and in this context, I just remember you have highlighted a slide where you have shown the horses chariot taking. In Ayurveda pediatrics, we talk about samskara. Samskara as a ritual, or samskara as the milestones of development. When education is to be started, which is called as vidyarambha, initiation of education, schooling, the texts say that the indriyani hayanyamu, the indriyas are like horses, and manasas tasya pravartaka. The manas, the mind is the controller. The same thing you have also highlighted in your presentation. Thank you for that. And you have also highlighted nutrition, importance of nutrition, food in mental health, the qualities, the classification of food like sattva, raja, tama, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also, and the role of sattvika, rajasika, tamasika ahara in healthy mental conditions, and the preventive and promotive aspects of mental health, and chikitsa, or the management part of also, including panchakarma. Yes, panchakarma plays a very vital role in the management of mental health disorders also. And your presentation was supported with many publications, evidence-based index journal publications too. Thank you for that, sir. It was a very lucid and very extempore presentation. You have proved that you are a good teacher. Thank you very much, sir. Going ahead with this, we have our one of the guests, Dr. Kalyani Nagar Seth. She's a member of Rosenberg European Academy of Ayurveda, and she's a specialist in physical and rehabilitative medicine, specialist in Western and Ayurvedic phytotherapy, having her roots to India. She is well versed, I think, in Ayurveda concepts and Indian lifestyle and other things also. I invite Dr. Kalyani Nagar Seth for her presentation on topic Ayurveda successful adapted to German and European circumstances. I think she's going to highlight the Panchakarma in Germany. Madam, yes, welcome. Please.
Unmute.
Please unmute yourself.
Unmute. This so.
Click. No.
Allow to unmute.
Unmute or request.
Allow to unmute.
Allow to unmute.
Well, we can try now. Yes.
Jawohl, Kalyani, das war's.
Now it works.
Ja, perfekt.
Okay, very good. And I hope you can also see my presentation.
Yes, madam. Well.
Okay, very good. So, yeah, I was asked to talk a bit about Panchakarma in Germany, and how do I forward this now? This is difficult. So, yeah, okay. So, first I introduce myself a little bit. You can hear from my name that I'm half Indian, half German, and I studied medicine, Western medicine in Germany. And then after that, I qualified also in radiology and orthopedics. And then I started studying Ayurveda for 3 years postgraduate studies here in the European Academy of Ayurveda in Bierstein. And then I started my own private practice. While working with the patients in Ayurveda, as we highlighted before already, I saw that there are so many mental diseases, and especially with all the Ayurvedic treatments, they come up. So I also specialize in psychology or psychotherapy, which was also a 3 years course. And then I found problems in finding the Indian Ayurvedic herbs in Germany. So that's why I also specialize in the German herbs, Western herbs, which is also a long course. And now it's my hobby to try to find which German herbs are very helpful in the Ayurvedic conditions, and I try to put them into the Ayurvedic system. So that's just a little bit to my background. So, and now talking about Panchkarma in Germany. Panchkarma in Germany, we can do in a very well and very authentic way, but we have to adapt it a bit to the German system and to the German patients. In Germany, we have Ayurvedic doctors, but the problem is if you studied Ayurveda in India, it's not recognized in the German regulation, so you're not allowed to work with an Indian degree in Germany. So you have to be a Western doctor in Germany, and then you can specify also on Ayurveda, which is still not registered, not recognized by the state. So we have Western doctors, and they undergo a training in Ayurveda, and we have therapists. They undergo a training in Ayurvedic therapy also, and we try to do this training also in a very classical way, according to all the classical texts, for example, the Charaka Samhita and all these things. So we have very good classical training. Oops, the next problem in Germany is that we have a compulsory health insurance system. So everybody has to have a health insurance, and the money is directly taken from the salary, so we can't do anything against it. And the problem is that Ayurveda is not recognized again by the German health insurance system. So the Ayurvedic treatment is not covered by the health insurance, and the patients are very much used to not paying for any health therapy, whatever they get. So it's very, very strange for them to pay for Ayurvedic treatment. And the problem is that Ayurvedic treatment in Germany is not really cheap, because especially the work hours and the personnel is very expensive in Germany. So Panchkarma in Germany is very, very expensive. So we actually only have rich patients, which is a bit a problem, because that's a very special clientele. They have they are very demanding, and they want very high standards. And we are trying to cover these standards, which is not always easy. And it's very difficult to do traditional Ayurvedic Panchkarma treatments and still cover the demands of the patients, because patients pay a lot of money and then they only get soup, for example, or only get cooked food and no meat. What is this? So that's difficult for the German patient. But we're trying to do this in a very proper way. And I'm working here in the European Ayurvedic Academy, which is in Bierstein, which is in a very nice small place in a village in Germany. And this is a health center, and it's very nice, located in a German typical forester's house, very traditional. But we try to making it in an Ayurvedic style or Indian style, let's say, and it was remodeled and also extended according to Vastu criteria. Mark Rosenberg will know much more about that. He can tell you much more about that. But it's very nice because people immediately feel the atmosphere is very different, and they feel relaxed when they come to this area. So that's already very good. And we have a lot of Indian elements in the interior design, but we have to be very careful. It shouldn't be too kitschy, and it shouldn't be like a hippie style, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't give the feeling that you come to a sect, that you come to some religious place. It has to be neutral in the religion, because otherwise people in Germany, most of them are Christian, and they don't want to have all other kind of religions. So it has to be neutral. And I think we did it in a good way here. So this is just that you see how it looks like a traditional German house, very traditional building. But as I mentioned, all according to Vastu. This is the old building, and it's a beautiful garden around where we have also German herbs, which we can use also for treatment. You can see in the left side also the new building, which is also according to Vastu. And the nice thing is that it's actually a lot of space. We have, well, for German standard, it's big. It's like 20 to 25 beds maybe, but it doesn't look like it's nicely in the whole landscape, and it's yeah, integrated into the landscape. So it's a nice atmosphere, and yeah, people feel very relaxed. Yeah, and then we have integrated some Indian elements. We have well, you can't see it, but it's behind the tree. There's a big yoga platform where we can do yoga in the outside. It depends on the German weather if it's possible or not. We have like a little pavilion in Indian style, and also the inside decoration is in all Indian style, but also with traditional German elements. So it's a nice combination. So yeah, this is already what I said. Actually, we are trying to make the people feel at home. They have to feel like being in Germany, but having a traditional Indian medical system. And the problem is also then naturally the food. What can we offer as food? We have Ayurvedic food, which means it is light to digest, but it's also German fruits or vegetables, especially also according to the season. We try to have the nutrition, but it's all cooked, boiled, and we add Indian spices, but also in Germany we don't have so many, so it's more the Mediterranean, Italian spices maybe, which help that it's easier to digest. So it's a mixture. The food is a mixture of, let's say, Indian, German, Italian, but it covers actually the Ayurvedic intents to have it easy digestible. And we have a big problem because one of the most common vegetables in Germany is the potato, which is actually not really classified in the Ayurvedic text. So we can't really tell what is the action. So that's a bit difficult. And we have all these problems with the German yeah, fruits, vegetables, spices. I think it's not always possible to have the Ayurvedic system like Rasa, Guna, Virya, Vipaka. We can't always put that on the German food because we have a different soil, we have a different atmosphere, different climate. So I don't know if it's really the German cauliflower is not the same like the Indian cauliflower. And that's why I don't really know if you can really, yeah, adjust it properly. That's a bit difficult. So yeah, we have, because people are very demanding, we have to have it in a nice style. We have to prepare it very nice. The food has to look nice. And even if they have only soups, for example, during the days when they drink ghee, we only offer soups. But even then it has to look nice so that they feel happy. That's a typical German thing. Yeah. What we also see is that there's eating habits, Ayurvedic eating habits, or this easy to digest food, the boiled and cooked food is for the German habit difficult to digest. That's a funny, yeah, funny experience I make. Especially people coming here have a lot of flatulence because they are not used to this kind of eating. So that's always a problem in the beginning. They need a few days to adjust to our Ayurvedic kitchen. And the other thing what we really see always in the beginning of the Panchkarma is that in Germany it's very common, everybody drinks coffee, and normally also quite a lot of coffee. So they have a coffee withdrawal symptoms, and mainly it's headaches. So especially the first 2-3 days, they have these coffee withdrawal symptoms, which is, yeah, the headaches. And we can't really say, is that because of drinking the ghee in the beginning, which is maybe normal that all kind of, aching of the body can appear, or is it because of the coffee? So that's sometimes difficult to say, yeah, what is the cause for the headaches? And then we try to give the, like, let's say, kind of German Patyadiquat, which we prepare from local bitter herbs, from German herbs, which helps. It helps because it tastes awful, and people then they don't want to have this awful taste, and then they don't tell anymore about headaches. That is also a way of treating it. So the next problem which we have, which we face in Germany, is that a lot of Ayurvedic Indian herbs and medicines are not available in Germany, or they don't have a license. So it's very difficult to get them here. Especially now, right now, my biggest problem is I can't give any Vamana treatment anymore, because we don't have any legal plant which we are allowed to use in Germany to do the Vamana treatment. So the Madanfall is not allowed in Germany. We can't have it. We can't buy it legally. So I tried in South American plant, Ipecacuana, it's called, Radix ipecacuana, which we used and which worked very well, where I can't really tell if it works on Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, but at least it induces vomiting, so that it worked very well. But now, since I think 1.5 years, we can't get it anymore. So I don't have any chance to do any Vamana anymore. And that's really sad, because Vamana is such a strong treatment. And as all of my speakers before mentioned already, especially the mental diseases, all kind of psychic status, strange psychic states, we can normally treat very well with Vamana. I have very good experiences, especially with trauma. After Vamana, it's such a big difference. People can accept that they had a trauma in their life, and that they can now integrate it into their biography. So it makes a big difference. And yeah, that is something we can't use anymore. That's very sad. So certain plants, we don't have any German supplement like ashwagandha. I don't know any German plant which works in the same way like ashwagandha. So I'm very happy that we can buy that here, that we can use it. But otherwise, I try to use a lot of German plants and try to classify them in the Ayurvedic way. Same thing is with the oils, which we use for the massage. We have a very nice German plant. It's called Jenswort plant, and we can make an oil of that. We can prepare it ourselves. I myself, I go collecting outside on the fields. I can collect it, and we can make the oil here in the institute, which is a very, very nice oil. And my opinion, it's a three dosha reducing effect, and it's especially good against depression, for all kind of depressions and stress relieving. And when we use it external, it is very good against especially neuralgic pain. So I use it also for Katibasti, or on the Vatasthana, to apply it on Vatasthana. It's very helpful for, like, say, ischiatic pain. Yeah, so that's very helpful. And otherwise, we use the Ayurvedic classical oils, which we can import, and we have an own production we get it from India, and that is according to German law, we can use it. So, for example, Mahanarayan, Thailam, all these classic oils we can use. But again, there we have the problem, especially Mahanarayan, Thailam has a very special smell. German nose is not used to that kind of smell. That is also sometimes very difficult, but people get used to it. They have to. So this is our room for, we have many rooms for massage treatment. This is one room, and it is all according to the German laws we have to stick to, but in a little bit Indian style. We try to have it, and people feel very well there. That's very nice. So what do we do here during Panchkarma? Just like a daily routine, the day begins always with yoga in the morning, which is very light yoga, so that even beginners who never did yoga before can join in and don't have any stress. And then there's an Ayurvedic breakfast. Then we have treatments and consultations, always over the whole day, only interrupted by a lunch break. And always in the lunch break, the therapists meet for a team meeting, and we exchange all informations about the patients. So they're all the doctors, therapists, kitchen team, everybody joins in and tells what happened with which patient today and how do we continue our treatment. That is always very important. So then we have in the afternoon is every day a lecture for the patients. I normally talk about the doshas so that they know what is Vata, Pitta, Kapha. For many people, it's totally new. They never heard about it. They have to learn about the diet. So my intention is that they know how to continue at home, that they can continue what we started here during the Panchkarma treatment, that they continue at home and stay healthy, hopefully. So diet is very important, daily routine, and then, as everybody before mentioned already, the spiritual, emotional, psychological aspects of Ayurveda are very important. I always give a talk on Dharma, Artha, Karma. That is totally new for the patients, but most of them are very fascinated by this way of thinking, so that they learn a little bit about it, and they appreciate that a lot. And then in the evening after dinner, we have a meditation, and normally when the meditation is finished, I like to tell a little story, a bedtime story, let's say. And I like all these Indian god stories, like how Ganesha got his head and all these things. So this I tell my patients, and they like that a lot. And that is a way that they get used to the, let's say, Indian mentality maybe, or to the Ayurvedic way of thinking maybe. So that's a light way of going there. We will also, right now I'm in the middle of a Panchkarma treatment here, so we will also celebrate Diwali naturally, Dhanvantari, Janmashtami. We will celebrate with the patients. I try to make it a little bit in a German way, but normally they like these things. So during the whole Panchkarma treatment, definitely once a week we offer a cooking class. In the evening, we also give a self-massage instruction so that they know how to do the daily self-oleation, because they're not, in Germany, you can't always go for a massage. It's too expensive. In India, you might be able to afford it. And then sometimes we have a herbal walk in the garden. It depends on the season. Right now, it's not possible because nothing is growing right now. And Mr. Rosenberg, Mark Rosenberg, gives also a tour in the house talking about Vastu. And also that people appreciate, because then they can arrange maybe their home a little bit different. So that's nice. And normally on the last evening before people go home, we make a kind of homa, a fire ritual for everyone, to leave everything which they don't want to take with them. They can leave here and kind of symbolize, throw it into the fire, which is also nice, which they enjoy. And as a farewell gift, sounds stupid maybe to Indians, but for the Germans it's special. We give them ghee and ginger, which some of them never had before, didn't know before. So we give them a little pot of ghee and a piece of ginger to take home, so that they can start their Ayurvedic cooking at home immediately. In this area, there's also a shop for Ayurvedic things like books, medicines, so people can buy these things, tongue scrapers or whatever they need for the Ayurvedic daily routine. That is also nice for them. And naturally, we have the administration also for all these things. The administration is normally mostly needed in the beginning because people, before booking a Panchkarma treatment, they have a lot of questions. Is this the right thing for me? Should I come for 1 week? Should I come for 2 weeks? And I mean, 1 week is definitely not enough in any case. So yeah, they should always come for 2 weeks. That's better. But we have to talk about it. So this is also inside the building. Also, these things are all according to Vastu, the decoration. Yeah. Which is actually very sad. We hardly have any healthy patients, because Ayurveda is normally also very good in prevention, but in Germany it's not normal to go to a doctor when you're healthy. You only come when you're very ill, and to Ayurveda you normally only come when you're extremely ill and tried everything else before, and then it's already very late. So people come in a very serious state here. So we have all kind of different diseases which we can treat here. A lot of oncological patients. My opinion is we should always have the combination of Western medicine and Ayurveda. So please also, if it's possible, patients should go for surgery, for chemotherapy, for radiation therapy. And with Ayurveda, we can reduce the side effects. We can help that they can stand or go through these strong and sometimes very difficult Western medical treatments. So that is very helpful. Gynecology is a big part in our treatment because we mainly have female patients. So right now we have 19 women and 1 man in our group. So mainly female patients. Orthopedic is a big section, all kind of, yeah, we have all these back pain. Everybody has back pain. That is a normal thing. Rheumatoid arthritis is very common also. Digestive disorders anyway, skin diseases, and all these neurological problems like Parkinson, Alzheimer, we don't have so many, but Parkinson we have quite a lot, and I have very good results also. Yeah, in my outpatient practice, I also now see a lot of long COVID patients. I don't know why right now in the inpatients, I haven't seen any before until yet. So let's see, it might still change. Yeah, as I said, a lot of female, and most of them are rather old. So between 60 and 70 is, I would say, the average. So I'm happy if also a 20-year-old patient comes once, because then we can do a lot of more prevention maybe. So the problem is because as the older the people are, the more medicines they already take for all kinds of different diseases. So most of them bring a lot of Western allopathic medicines already, and we have to handle that. How can we arrange, for example, when they take anti-epileptica, then we have to be very careful with Virecana, because otherwise the anti-epileptic medicine won't work anymore, and then they will have an attack, an epileptic attack, and that, yeah, I wouldn't want to risk that. So we have to arrange the timing. When do they take the medicine, and when do I give the purgation medicine? So yeah, but normally it works, so it's not so difficult. Yes. Now I just wanted to give you a quick show how our average routine would be during this Panchkarma. So normally it's about 13 days, because people won't have longer holidays. They have to take holidays for this. So it's a 13 days treatment. And normally in the beginning, I naturally first take the history and see what kind of patient I have and what should we do. But if, let's say, the standard program would be first day they start with ghee in the morning, and on the days when they drink ghee, they only get a partial body treatment, so that I can see if the inner oleation is complete or not. And then they will get, they won't have any breakfast, only ghee, and then they will have a soup for lunch and for dinner. Normally, this process takes about 3 days, so if we increase the dosage of ghee, slowly. So the normal thing would be 30 ml, then 60, and then 90 ml. And let's say normally it's about 3 days. Sometimes it's all right. After 2 days, it's finished. Sometimes after 4 days, much longer. It's not common. And I also wouldn't advise, because otherwise then the 13 days are not enough. So if they don't have the full inner oleation after 4 days, then I will stop it, and I will sometimes I also give then ghee in the evening, so that we can fasten this progress, or I just give a little bit more higher dosage of the purgation medicine. So then on the day 4 we have Abhyanga Svedana, then always easy to digest food, that is normal. Then normally maybe day 5 would be Vamana. As I said, I can't do that anymore, so now it's Virechana, and we normally use castor oil and Swadhisthha Virechana Churna for that, and it depends on how was the digestion before, so the doses is adapted to that. And normally they are finished with their Virechana at around about 3 p.m. and then they get cooked rice, and after that in the evening again, easy to digest food. So we have to we skip all these days where you increase the food. So we have to make this program in 13 days, otherwise it won't work. So day 6 again, Abhyanga Svedana. Then day 7 we start with oily enema in the evening. Day 8 watery enema. Day 9 oily enema. Day 10 watery enema, and 11 and 12 day oily enema. So I always try to have 6 enemas, so that is because Vata is the main problem anyway, so that's why I try to do as many enemas as possible, just to reduce Vata. And on these days we always do all kind of individual treatments, which depending on the disease which the people have. Last day, on day 13, we do Padabhyanga, so that they go home on stable feet. That is always important. And then they have lunch and then they leave home. Normally, every patient gets kind of homeworks, so they get a therapy plan, normally about 6 pages, where I write down what kind of recommendations, how they can continue at home, a lot about the food, which nutrition is recommended, which kind of herbs should they continue. So all kind of ideas how they can continue at home. And I always ask them to call me latest 4 weeks after finishing Panchkarma. And most people do that, and it's very interesting to hear how they changed their life, what happened in their life. And it is really, the Panchkarma treatment has a big effect on the people, and they sometimes they just change a very little bit. Maybe they just continue drinking ginger water, but even that little bit makes a big difference in life. So that's very nice to see the effect. And what I also appreciate is that people sometimes really keep on coming regularly, once a year or every second year. And that is also always shows that it really helped them, and that they're that they like Ayurveda, that they're convinced from Ayurveda. And then I always also recommend, when they go home, I give them a list with therapists all over Europe, that they can find somebody close to their home that they continue with Ayurvedic massage, so that they have it in their daily life also. So that was short, going through all this whole thing. Now, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalyani ji. It was a very wonderful presentation about Panchakarma in European standards.
Thank you.
European Academy of Ayurveda, of course, has taken Ayurveda in a very scientific way to Europe. It is one of the oldest and the most popular Ayurveda establishment in whole of Europe, imparting education in Ayurveda as well as treatment aspect and the research component also. Mark Rosenberg and his team deserves a special round of applause for this. to the continuous efforts are making Ayurveda popular in Germany and other countries. The various aspects of Patyahara, the modifications in diet, the Ayurvedic kitchen, these were highlighted by you. We know that there are a lot of hurdles. Even in India, we face a lot of hurdles in the implementation of Panchakarma, particularly the Shodhana, biopurificatory procedures. You have made successful modifications wherever and whenever required to the treatment, and made a package of 13 days of Panchakarma. Of course, we cannot imagine in India about 13 days of Panchakarma, which includes Vivechana and Basti, Yoga Basti Karma and all, because it takes a longer period here. You made a modification as per requirement over there. And the most fascinating and interesting thing was the gift you offer to the patients. That is ghee and ginger. Ghee is Nitya Rasayana, one of the wonderful Rasayana, and ginger is again a very good Deepana, Pachana or bio enhancer. A very good, very good. When I visited the European Academy a couple of years ago, I saw the Injive. I was asking what is Injive with S.N. Gupta sir. He was telling it is nothing but ginger put in boiled water. We used to have this in Kerala very frequently, and the same practice has been taken, a very good health promoting practice. Thank you very much for that. And you have also considered other Indology subjects like Vastu, as well as certain practices which we do practice here. You have taken it into your practice also, which has given a good response or good results in your day-to-day practice. Thank you very much, madam, for a very lucid and very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to the next part of it, that is the panel discussion. Of course, there's nothing very specific about it. There was a question from one of the participants to George Bera, and he had classified the Rasayanas into different categories, and what was the basis for this classification? That was the question. Dr. Bera, you want to?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here, Dr. Rajagopala. Yes, I want to stress that this is an information coming from the publication from Institute of Ayurveda from Jamnagar. This is not our findings. We are looking for our main sources are Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India and all the scientific documents from Jamnagar or from all Institute of Ayurveda, National Institute of Ayurveda, and so on. That's the only point that I could say about that question.
Sorry, Dr. Kalyani, am I right?
Yes, I just didn't. What was the question for me, or? Sorry.
No. Yeah, I think the basis of classification. The question, I think you have just wanted clarification. If I'm right, yes. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Here is a
contribution from Jamnagar. We were part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to invite Mark Rosenberg, who has taken Ayurveda and Yoga to Germany from India, having illustrious more than 2+ decades of experience in this, and establishing an academy in Germany and making Ayurveda popular. Mark, please comment.
Yes, Professor Rajagopalan, thank you very much, and for leading us in this nice session with focus on mental health, on how to adapt and how to integrate Ayurveda in the Western world. Very inspiring talks I could listen, and really thank you also for your summarization and the positive feedback. Yes, really, I mean, this is it is a coming together as it is meant for the Ayurveda Day, and in this way, I really enjoyed our gathering. It was mentioned in the beginning. I think that we all have our task, to bring Ayurveda forward and to globalize it. What it means, we heard today, and we stressed a bit the mental aspect and the psychological aspect on one side. We heard about that Ayurveda in Germany could play a role or does play a role also on the level of occupation, and that we see that the business area also Ayurveda has entered. And then I really appreciate this integrated work that we experience here in Germany, and with the help of Professor Martin Midwede and Kalyani Nagashed, we are trying to help our patients here. And this is really the most beautiful thing that I experienced here, working as a director at our treatment center and academy, that after this 2 week of Panchakarma treatment, and not only after the treatment, but also even after our courses, our patients and the students, they're really inspired, and they feel that their life becomes a turn, and a turn towards health. And that is what Ayurveda is able to bring to all of us. So thanks for this form of integrative or integrating work, I like to say, that we are doing with our team here for more than 30 years now. And yes, as we heard, there are still challenges, there are problems, we have to move on. We need you in India, we need your support, we need your knowledge again and again. And I really have to thank you to All India Institute of Ayurveda, to you all, with all actual day-to-day knowledge that we are receiving through our collaboration. We are able to move forward in the best way. And we also need your support in bringing Ayurveda forward in Europe, for instance, that this thin layer chromatographic informations in APA Volume 1 and Volume 2 is missing. You might not be aware, but this is a big chance for us in the moment. We have the chance to get the plants into our list. What this TL is missing, for instance, in Volume 1 and Volume 2. These are small things, but there you really can help us with our work that we are doing here in Germany, because we are trying to move the thing forward, and then we see that, oh, now we really need your support from India to really move it forward. Just to let you know that these are things that I'm involved in as a director. And there, I'm also very thankful that we have you on our side, knowing that I can call you up anytime and that I can send you a letter and that I see that support immediately there. Thank you very much for all that. Right. For the Ayurveda Day, it is, I think, our pleasure to remind us that Ayurveda is a wisdom, couple of 100 years established in India and now being spread all over the world. And I understand more and more that Ayurveda is nothing like a specialization of any medicine, or it's not a kind of treatment or any special thing. It is the medicine that was developed and grown for many hundreds of years, and much relevant today, and it has to play a major role in the global idea of treating patients today. And in this context, Ayurveda as a term is, at least from the Indian perspective, not anything special, but it is actually the center of anything that is, connected with medicine, and we are learning from that. And we really feel that the creation of the traditional systems on one side and the findings on the modern level on the other side will bring us forward to help and to treat our patients, especially in the non-communicable diseases and, of course, the chronic ailments we have heard today. So, yeah, I mean, this is a short comment, and I'm very happy to meet Dr. Jorge Berra here, because we have not many chances to say hello to each other. So it's wonderful to have you in this round, Dr. Berra, and your experience there in Argentina is fantastic, and we heard in your talk, how much deep understanding you have developed in using also the the plants in South America now in the Ayurvedic context. We can learn from you, and that's why I understand. I know that also Kalyani is doing the same work, in Germany, and I think the both of you should sit together and, bringing Europe, South America, and India together. This will be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark, for your words of wisdom, I should say, because I was thinking of two decades, but you have added one more decade to 3 decades of experience in Ayurveda. It's very, very nice to hear from you. We have Dr. Sudhir Jaraman from Mauritius. We have other participants here, and there are a lot of other participants on other online presentation is going on. Thanks to all of them. And if any clarification, any questions, we may please ask here. I think the lectures were very lucid and well taken by all, and All India Institute of Ayurveda, and on behalf of Ministry of Ayush also, your cooperation in organizing or making Ayurveda Day a grand success definitely counts a lot for us. And I invite our Dean PhD Studies, Professor Mahesh Vyas. He is with us now, and he will be giving the concluding remarks for this session. And Dr. Mahesh Vyas, sir, please.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful and informative session. We are really honored to have your presence and time as a valuable MOU partner of AIIA and ambassador of Ayurveda across the world. We are really grateful to Dr. George Luis Vera from Argentina, Mr. Mark Rosenberg from Germany, Professor Dr. Martin from Germany, Dr. Kalyani ji from Germany, and Vin Sylvester from Germany. On behalf of All India Institute of Ayurveda and Ministry of Ayush, I would like to congratulate all the speakers who have preciously shared valuable experience and knowledge with us. I also like to express my sincere gratitude to speakers from India, Professor S.H. Acharya sir, distinguished professor, All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi, Professor Anant Raman Sharma, HOD Department of Panchakarma, Dr. Ramakant Yadavji, Associate Professor, Department of Kai Chikitsa, for updating recent advancement of Ayurveda in perspective domains. I also congratulate organizers, Dr. Jonah, Dean International Cooperation Cell of Ayurveda, Dr. Rajgopal, Dean Researcher, Dr. Prashant Dharmarajan, Sub-Dean International Cooperation Cell of Ayurveda, Dr. Varun, Coordinator International Cooperation Cell of Ayurveda, Dr. Manisha, Research Coordinator International Cooperation Cell of Ayurveda. Above all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the visionary leadership of our director, Dr. Tanuja Manoj Nesri Madam, for guiding and organizing all activities of Ayurveda Day as nodal agency across the world under the guidance of Ministry of Ayush. I kindly request all of you to visit the site ayurvedday.in and upload the activities organized in your respective countries in support to Ayurveda. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words of thanking all our participants. It's our gratitude to all our participants of today's event, making this webinar a success, especially Dr. George Luis Berard, Mark Rosenberg and his team, Professor Martin, Professor Vin, Dr. Kalyani Nagaseth, and my colleagues, Professor Anantaram Sharmaji and Dr. Ramakant Yadavji, for lucid and eloquent presentation over here. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Final request is to make the day a success. Please log on to the website at www.ayurvedaday.in and put your I like Ayurveda and support all other activities. Post your activities in this site. This site will be active after the Ayurveda Day also. The last program which we are organizing in the event of this Ayurveda Day is on 5th November with the Western Sydney University. And there is one more event on 26th of October with the AIST and Shimane University, Japan. So we have decided international activities west of India, east of India, and the cornermost place, that is Australia. 3 major events we are conducting. The first event was today, and thank you all for making this very success. Thank you, and a good day for you all, and I wish good night to all my colleagues in India. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Rajagopal. Just for your information, in Argentina, we'll be celebrating Ayurveda Day. The Indian Embassy in Argentina has requested us to be in charge of that activity, and it will be done at the Argentinian Medical Association. We are very happy for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please upload your activities in Ministry of Ayush site. Please
Okay, yes, sure.
Thank you, sir.
The best for you.